A lot of people think the Vikings are dirty barbarians, but is that really the case? In this video, we're going to explore the hygiene of the Vikings and find out whether their practices are as bizarre and dirty as we think. First, let's debunk a myth. When people usually think about Vikings, they think about barbarians with wild beards and uncivilized habits. But the truth is far from it. Through archaeology and medieval written records, we now know that Viking men groomed and cleaned themselves often. When it comes to personal hygiene, the Vikings were more advanced than some may think. Every morning, Vikings followed a ritual of personal grooming that acknowledged the power of fate in the lives of Vikings. This included washing, brushing teeth, and combing hair every single morning. It was a sign not only of carefulness but also respect for destiny, as written by the gods. As an Eddic poem from Norse times says, "Combed and washed every thoughtful man should be, and fed in the morning. For one cannot see where one will be in the evening. It is bad to rush headlong before one's fate." For daily hygiene, Vikings had a unique ritual. They would wash their hands and hair in bowls of water. To cleanse further, the comb used for their hair was dipped into this same bowl before being run through their locks. However, it wasn't exactly sanitary. After everyone took part, each Viking blew their nose and spit into the basin. Fortunately, it appears this communal bathwater got changed before another Viking could take advantage, so there was no exchange of spit or other body fluids. When cleaning themselves, it was common for Vikings to use a unique soap made from animal fat and wood ash. This lye-based mixture had many practical uses in addition to its hygienic benefits. It also bleached hair blonde. According to records from that era, both men and women alike prized this sun-kissed look as a stylish trait of beauty. So much so that even Viking warriors would leave traces of their soap concoction untouched in their beards or locks during battle. Saturday during the Viking era was well known for relaxation. Iceland was home to the Vikings then, and Icelanders still refer to Saturday as Lagerdavish, or bath day. This was the day the Vikings bathed. Summer saw these bathers looking for cleansing in respective rivers and lakes, while winter was more intriguing with its heated bathhouses residing within the cool climate. On washing days, Vikings also would make sure their clothes were looking crisp and fresh. Making use of the surrounding hot springs throughout Iceland and Scandinavia, Viking-age buildings offered privacy for bathers or a convenient place to wash clothes. For the Vikings, hygiene was an integral part of life. Not only did they bathe on mornings and Saturdays, but also before battles or any other major event, as many believed it would give them a sense of courage and strength. Furthermore, hospitality dictated cleanliness, which extended even beyond burial rituals. The Vikings also loved the sauna. It is believed that this tradition was passed down from their Scandinavian neighbors such as the Finns, Sami, and Balts, who had been utilizing them prior to Viking times. Although no traditional Viking-style sauna has been found yet in archaeological sites, other man-made structures like pools used for hot bathing during winter were discovered from those days. The only moment that Vikings did not bathe was during a time of grief. Vikings would forgo their daily grooming and bathing rituals as an act of mourning. In the poem Völuspá about Baldur's death, it paints a vivid picture with details like "his hands he washed, nor not his hair combed," to illustrate this ritualistic practice. Viking warriors were famous for their bold and powerful locks. They proudly sported a signature style, which featured longer hair in the front that tapered off to shorter strands in the back, reminiscent of an eye-catching reverse mullet. Norse historians believe that Vikings and Germanic people were of the opinion that long hair, ceremoniously braided or styled in some way, could imbue strength and power. This is evidenced by figures such as the Suebi, who were not wearing warriors, and Merovingian kings with their famous flowing locks. In Norse culture, the presence of well-groomed facial hair was a mark of one's character and practical morality. A thick beard denoted positive virtues such as honor and courage, while the lack thereof suggested lesser qualities like cowardice or immorality. Thus, beards became tied to social standing in Viking society, signifying not only physical strength but also moral fiber. Far from the wild, unkempt facial hair we've come to associate with Vikings in the media, historical research reveals that most Norsemen kept their beards well groomed. In fact, it was considered a mark of great pride to keep one's beard stylishly trimmed and tidy. The Vikings truly put their grooming game on the line with one of the most important tools they carried: combs. More than a simple item for taming unruly hair, these decorative pieces were often crafted from animal bones and reindeer antler and fastened to warriors' belts just as proudly as any other weapon or tool. Not only that, some even featured intricate carvings displaying how much value was placed upon them. Vikings treasured their appearance and were deeply invested in its maintenance even beyond the grave. It was not uncommon for graves of fallen heroes to feature tools like razors, tweezers, combs, and more, indicative that personal care wasn't only essential during life but also after it ended. Weapons from those who loved them could be found alongside these items, a testament to Norse culture's admiration for grooming beauty before death as well as after. As for their dental hygiene, Vikings' dental hygiene was remarkable for the time period. However, this was not the result of strict teeth brushing. Thanks to their diet that was low in sugar, making use of toothpicks, and even rudimentary brushes made from twigs, many Viking skeletons have been found with teeth better than what is seen among modern-day standards. Despite this impressive record, however, some remains do bear signs of tartar buildup or gum disease, as well as trauma-related missing teeth or chipped teeth. In 2005, archaeologists uncovered a curious piece of Viking history: filed teeth with grooves. Archaeologists excavating at various sites have found Viking skulls with teeth bearing pronounced horizontal and sometimes vertical grooves filed into the enamel. This was found both in Scandinavian burial sites and even as far away as England. Historians have been left to speculate on the significance behind these modified grins. Some theories suggest it indicates victories against opponents, or may simply have served to intimidate enemies. The fact is that not many Vikings had filed teeth with grooves. That is not strange because historians think it would have been a painful procedure. The Viking male would have had to smile broadly, which would have caused a lot of pain. To make matters more interesting, some evidence shows Viking men also experimented with different tooth hues by covering them in animal fat-based dyes mixed with charcoal. Despite the importance they placed on hygiene, Viking households were rather unique. Historians have discovered an interesting insight into Viking life. Evidence from their latrines suggests they lived near both animals and humans. Analysis of the waste revealed a variety of parasites and germs, including roundworm, hookworm, and liver fluke, which usually affect cattle or sheep. During winter months, the homes of Vikings would be filled to capacity, not just with close-knit family members, but also with their livestock. Built from wood and draped in straw or turf roofs without windows for ventilation, it's no surprise these primitive houses proved hotbeds of disease. This often led to unpleasant odors from accumulated waste and feces that could be found throughout many of these longhouses where they resided. But how did the Vikings deal with something we all do every day, going about their business on the toilet? Viking cities had a fragrant atmosphere, as toileting was done away from dwellings and easily identified in the outskirts by scent. Out in the countryside, however, it wasn't unusual to find people utilizing their barns alongside animals for excrement disposal, which was all put to use on farms as valuable fertilizer regardless of origin. When it came to wiping themselves afterwards, each individual was expected to bring their own solution. This typically entailed anything from moss and leaves to scraps of linen. Intriguingly, archaeologists have unearthed evidence that Vikings held a fondness for using local forest moss to fulfill their lavatorial needs. Some of the used moss has even been unearthed from latrine excavation sites. But probably the most bizarre hygiene practice was the sacrificing of animals by the Vikings. From health to strength and even marital issues, Vikings tapped the power of animal sacrifices in pursuit of their desired outcomes. Horses, revered for their power and strength, took center stage at these ceremonies as offerings to the gods. The collected blood was then used to anoint altars, walls, and even Vikings themselves. The meat was cooked and then eaten by all in attendance. It was boiled in cauldrons that hung over a fire in the middle of the house, all because they thought it would help them with their health, their strength, and everything around their hygiene practices. If that's not bizarre, we don't know what is. And with that, we've come to an end. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of Vikings and their hygiene. We invite you to share your opinion if this was something that sparked your interest. Don't forget to subscribe for more exciting updates from our channel. Until then, we'll see you in another history class.